It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in San Diego County. Today we are joined by Dawn Griffin. She is the chairman and CEO of the Davenport Griffin Preservation Group. And I want to speak about a specific site here in San Diego. It's known as the California Theater. Tell us about the California Theater.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course.
But the California Theater was built in 1927. It took a year for them to build it at that point. It's probably going to take a lot longer to get it back up and running, but it was the Cathedral Palace of San Diego when it opened.
What does that mean?
For them, it was a star. It was a jewel in their crown. You know, honestly, we have only 5 theaters now. I don't know how many we had then, but we only have 5 theaters now, and it's one of the largest ones.
Meaning theaters in terms of grand. When you say we only have 5 theaters, what does that mean? How do you define a theater?
We have the Spreckles, which is on the larger scale. We have the San Diego, there's one in San Diego, that's Civic San Diego.
Okay.
We have the California, of course, the Lyceum, and the Balboa. California is the only one that's non-operational.
I understand.
At this point, but it is on the local historic registry.
So let's talk about it during its glory days. When it was at its peak, what did it, who went, why'd they go, what did they enjoy?
It was built as a vaudeville theater.
Right.
So it has one of the very few curved balconies in the state. You can hear a pin drop on the stage. The acoustics are astounding. So it went from the vaudeville era to the talkies, you know, so it actually does have fittings for film. And in those days, you know, people came as, there was no TV.
Right.
You know, theater was what you did. It's what you saved up for. It's what people dreamed of. And me being a New Yorker, we care a lot about our theaters, and that was one of the better ones. It had over 2,000 seats in it then, so it was a community thing. You know, people would come and watch the puppet shows for the kids, and you know, the talkies when they came out was a big deal, and because of the acoustics, this was one of the better places to go.
How long did it operate?
Ooh, it operated from 1927 till about 1983.
What happened in 1983?
Well, movies were different. You know, money in the town was different, and it just fell out of favor. And the San Diego Theater Organ Society were the ones that operated it last few years of its life, and they actually shut the doors in the 80s for it, and it just never got bought again. And
so what has been on that site since 1983, over 30 years ago?
It's still there.
It's so the building is there. Is it in disrepair?
Yes. Some say it is demolition by neglect. So the windows have been broken out of it. Vermin live in it. People sleep in front of it. It's, compared to the way that building was, it's sad. You know, it really is. It's got mold. It has, you know, asbestos curtains, you know, from back in the day.
Well, why does it speak to you? What is it about this building that convinces you to dedicate and devote your time and energy to save it, to revise it, to revitalize it?
I think, actually, I used to be the redevelopment chair for North Park, and at the time, Donna Fry was still in city council, and we went to lunch and we wandered past it, and I didn't understand a site that large downtown in a metropolitan city of our size, being a New Yorker, why it was still vacant. She told me the story.
So why is it still vacant? What do we know?
Well, it's vacant because nobody can afford to repair it. They see it as a traditional repair, and they see the fact that they can't build some big structure on it, so they don't see where their money can come back.
And the reason they can't build on it as they would want, the developers, is the site is a historic designated location. Is that accurate?
Yes. And the registration and the regulations make it so that you can only build that building half again as high as it is right now. And it has a 9-story tower, so that means you can only put 4.5 floors on it.
I see.
Financially, it doesn't make sense, you know, for most people. They can't see it beyond what it is.
So there's an organization called Save Our Heritage, and this organization has made it at least one of its goals to save the site. What can you tell us about the efforts?
They've been really wonderful for us. Bruce and Alana Coons run that organization. They are the heart and soul when it comes down to restoration and history in our city. So they required that we come before them, show them what our plans would be,
Right.
tell them what our use would be to see whether or not they would approve what we do. And to date, we are the only project that they have approved unanimously for that site.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And what are your plans?
Well, we want a theater again, you know, but we have to be financially responsible for it. So we're going to bring back live theater. We're going to bring back film. We're going to put restaurants in there. There's going to be other businesses that are in there that actually feed off of it so that it's not hat in hand every 5 minutes with every donor in town.
Right.
You know, it has to support itself.
Right.
So what we want to do is give that back to the community that loved it so much.
So how does this dream become a reality? I mean, I can imagine, you mentioned redevelopment. In the days when we had redevelopment, maybe the redevelopment agency could have participated in the revitalization of that. We don't have redevelopment anymore.
No.
So where do you turn? I mean, you said you don't want hat in hand. I mean, are you looking to philanthropists? Are you looking to the city, the state, the federal? Who do you talk to?
There is a grant for federal uses that is only to restore historic theaters, so that is part of it.
Okay.
You know, which is interesting. So that's part of it. But I think that it's best to be able to go back to our businesses and our people and say, this is what we have. You know, what is it that we can do to participate? It doesn't always have to be money, you know, although that's wonderful.
What type of money do you need?
Well, the purchase
we know?
price, yes. The purchase price that he and I agreed to.
He meaning the current owner.
Yes. The last purchase price that we agreed to was about $9 million
Okay.
for that site, which is about 3 times what it actually is worth. You know,
Oh, no.
but well, it's okay because I do understand that he has to get his money back too.
Right.
You know, so we had to find a nice happy medium so that he had what he needed and we get our theater back for our city.
Okay.
So right now, for the restoration of it, if we do it the way that I've sat down with my team and said we can do it, we're probably about $80 million to get the site back up.
Okay, so that's a good chunk of change. so from where do you derive that? Can our viewers help you? Is it something that you need city involvement, county involvement, state, federal? We hinted at it before.
There's all sorts of resources for it. It doesn't always have to be the money. And can the viewers help? Absolutely. You know, with your viewership, I think that people care enough, you know, about the arts. They care enough about the city,
Right.
and about what we're trying to do that, you know, even small donations are fine. We have a website set up for that. But
And the website is?
it is Davenport Griffin Preservation Group.org.
We'll put it on the screen.
Thank you.
Okay.
And you know, so we have to have public participation. Of course, businesses can help. You know, they can donate a site for a fundraiser. They can do all kinds of things. Mainly for us, it's going to be the green building part of it is going to save that cost considerably.
Right.
The very first bid that I got for doing that theater was about $150 million. I
my.
know we can do better than that.
Right.
We can. You know, with traditional building, yes, but with this one, no, we can do better.
How close are we?
Well, it's always been my money, you know, up to this
I
point.
see.
But we're not. I mean, to be honest, we're not. You know, we need to get more of the corporate sponsorship, but this is why I'm very glad that we're here. Because it lets people see what we're doing and that we're here.
Okay. You're inspiring. Her name is Dawn Griffin. She is the president and CEO of the Davenport Griffin Preservation Group, trying to save and revitalize the California Theater in downtown San Diego, where we are today. Sort of, we're in San Diego. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us on Local Edition.